Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever or whoever you may be. Welcome to the Recluse podcast. I am your host, Alan Arante. Today's guest is a skater named Jeff DeChesare. He's from New Jersey originally, but now resides in Culver City. He's sponsored by Grizzly Griptape, DVS, and Recta Wheels, just to name a few. He gets a lot of heat online for his trick selection, for his style, and for his attitude. But I found him to be quite humble and respectable. I was nervous, though. I was pacing the apartment, cleaning, reading my questions over and over, wondering if he was going to show up at all. I was a little intimidated and anxious. He has a big following. He's been noticed in the industry. He's had a lot of run-in with pros, including Tony Hawk. He's the subject of the most viewed video on YouTube for Thrasher, the Making a Skate video. It has over 16 million views now. And this is the guy who's going to be in my apartment talking to me. I'm a no one. My wife had even remarked, she said, he does know you're not a big deal, right? And she didn't mean that to insult me, but she was right. I made sure he knew he wasn't getting paid. I made sure he knew I don't have a following at all. And he didn't seem to mind. He said that it just sounded fun. So we did it. In our conversation, we talk about his skate career and his perceived shortcomings related to that. We discuss his reputation in the skate community and how that affects his career. And at the end, we talk about the death of his father. Something I would like to note is that this interview is uncut. It's the full length from start to finish. I've included every painful and like, and I'm hoping that I'm better for it. I had a talk with a good friend of mine, Will Rusk, and a new friend named Dallas, and they basically convinced me that it might be better to set the tone right away, to not feel like I have to edit out my humanness, the error that I make in grammar sometimes, or the lulls and the points that might feel a little boring. They convinced me that that's basically what it means to be a human. That's what this medium is for long-form conversation, real conversation. This is my attempt to humanize a man that is too easily misunderstood. This is a portrait of Jeff DeChesare. You're from Culver City, you said?
Well, I live there now.
Live from Culver City.
I'm from New Jersey, though.
What's Jersey like?
It's a hell of a lot different than California, I'll tell you that. It's you actually have seasons there. It's very hot during the summer, very cold during the winter. The ground's really rough. But don't get me wrong, it's beautiful though. There's green everywhere, and there are a lot of skate spots, but they're a lot rougher than the ones out here.
Really, just the concrete wise, or like, cause there's snow there, right?
Yeah, the weather kind of fucks the ground up. But there's more cracks in the sidewalks, and the spots aren't as perfect. They're kind of like not as obvious. I mean, you kind of have to go out of your way to find them, but there's some gems there for sure. There's a lot less skate parks. I know when I was a kid, I didn't have any skate parks.
Yeah,
really growing up, I had one that was like indoor, and I had to. My parents drove me 45 minutes every time I wanted to go to this skate park that was indoors. During the winter, that was basically my only option. So,
any big skaters come out of Jersey?
There's a ton actually. Did you know Jersey has the most pros out of it? Out of any state besides California?
No, I didn't know that. I would have never guessed Jersey. I'd guess, I don't even know, Oregon, Washington or something?
No, I think it's Jersey and Florida have the most.
Wow. Huh. I mean, well, that stat alone, I mean, you're on your way. You're a Jersey boy.
And I went to school in Florida.
Yeah, that's 2 counts against you. That's good.
Weird coincidence. But Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's a lot of pros from Jersey, not necessarily the area I'm from, but the closest pro that lived to me, Tim O'Connor. He
Heard the name. I don't know if I've seen anything he's done.
He's not really around too much anymore, but he was pro for Habitat, and
okay.
He was on like iPath and Adidas.
Mm-hmm.
He grew up in a town like 15 minutes away from me. I didn't really know him growing up, but I just remember he was already made it by the time I started skating. I just remember hearing he grew up around from where I was from.
Well, is Habitat still popping? I feel like I haven't heard that name for like a long time.
No, they're still a thing for sure. They, they got their crew is a lot different than it was back in the day. But do you know Mark Sushu?
I've only heard of the name. Pro.
Yeah, he's kind of their main guy right now. He's amazing, super good.
The main pro.
Yeah, I mean, when you hear the name Habitat nowadays, I kind of, well, at least I do. I kind of associate Habitat with him. But I mean, they still have a lot of other great people.
Huh. Okay. All right. So we are officially on the record. The date is August 24th, 2019. The time is now 5:45 p.m. It's a nice day. I have two questions for you, sir.
What is that?
Who the hell are you? And how the hell are you?
My name is Jeff DeChesare, and I'm great. How are you?
I'm good, man. It's a good day. I'm stoked. You know, you're kind of something of an icon. A lot of people know you. Well, yeah, I'm happy. I'm so happy that you're a humble guy. Had you kicked the door in and said, "Yeah, I'm Jeff," you know, you're damn right. I have.
Hell no, no way. Never. I'm just a guy who skateboards. That's it. I don't see myself anymore. I don't think anyone should see themselves any more than that. Any pro skater, any known skater, you're riding a wooden toy. You're not curing cancer.
Well, I'm happy you think that. It's just, it's so ironic, I guess, because you're so down to earth. We've been hanging for, I don't know, a couple hours now, and you're so down to earth. And I think maybe I expected that, but based on like comments I read online, and, you know, I've seen some of your live videos where you're kind of like, I don't know how to say it. Maybe you kind of like bash yourself a little bit. You sort of talk about, how I'm not sure how to say it. You know, sometimes I feel like you deserve more attention, and you think that too. And you sort of put a spotlight on that sometimes. And I'm just so surprised that you don't get the credit you deserve, in my opinion. You're so much more humble than the way people talk. I know you got a lot of people out there who support you. But how do you account for these people that just, I don't know, don't seem to fuck with you? Like, why do people say such fucked up stuff to you online?
Well, first off, I appreciate anyone who does support me, likes watching my videos, any of that. But as far as the people that, you know, don't support me as much, really, I don't know, man. Skating is, it's in a different spot it's in than when I first started. I started skating 18 years ago. Back then, the whole industry was completely different. I mean, it was still basically based upon the same ideas, but just a whole different, like, I don't know, stuff that got love back then.
It was a pre-Instagram, I think. Are those the days you're talking about? It was
pre-YouTube. I started skating before YouTube was a thing. So, like,
yeah,
you couldn't. If you want to see someone skate, you had to wait for a skate video to come out, which may take years.
VHS.
So you had no idea what was in, what tricks were doing, anything like that. And I don't know. Basically, we spoke a little bit about this. People that kind of like to just, I don't know why, one reason or another, like to start rumors. Like, I've read comments on Instagram where people are like, or like some page will post me. It'll be like, "Yeah, this kid's good, but he's so cocky." And I'm like, I'll comment back to them, you know, not be mean or anything, and just genuinely ask, like, "Have I ever met you?" And they'll be like, "Well, no, but you just seem like you'd be an asshole." And I'm like, "Interesting. All right, that's all I wanted to know." So when I see stuff like that, I see another negative comment or something, I just think back to that, and it makes me think, like, none of this is credible. Like, anyone talking shit, they don't know me, and, you know, they, for one reason or another, they want to make me look bad. And another one is I'll just, I've actually been to skate parks and stuff and been skating for a while, you know, talking to the kids every now and then, and they'll just be like, "Hey, you that Jeff guy?" And I'm like, "My name is Jeff, and I'm a guy.
I'm that guy.
I may be him. Like, you're the guy that does all those flip tricks and stuff." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm probably who you're thinking of." And they're like, "You know, I thought you were gonna be an asshole, but you're pretty cool."
So you hear that, and I feel bad for you saying it too. It's like I didn't expect you to be an asshole or anything like that. I honestly I didn't. I figured, okay, like I've heard this thing before where it's like, oh, you've heard something. Chances are it's not as bad as what you heard. I didn't expect you to kick the door in and be like, "Yeah, I'm Jeff." You know,
I'd hope.
I figured you'd be like a nice guy, but it's like people think just because they have an Instagram account or something that they can make a judgment, and I don't know that they're even aware that it's just, you know, BS. It's like not rooted in reality. Like when you pulled up, you know, I was nervous, like, oh shit, fucking Jeff's gonna show up. This guy has like 90K followers. Like, this guy's gonna, like, you know, I didn't push it that far, but I'm just saying that, like, you're sort of, it's weird to meet the actual person, because you're talking about people online saying stuff. I'm talking about people online saying stuff, but that's totally different than actually talking to the guy. I mean, it's basically not the same thing. The person they're talking about online isn't you.
No,
it's just this like idea
of you. It's just a perceived image. You know, I get what you're saying too. Like, you know, having an idea of someone, like, there's tons of pros. Like, you know, I've met a lot of pros, but I still kind of, like, you know, there are pros out there with like millions of followers and stuff, and I've never met them. And then when I finally do get to meet them, I'm like, oh wow, they're just a normal person. At the end of the day, we are just all normal human beings. Like, you know, what, just because someone could do, actually, you know what? Not even because someone could do something more on a skateboard, just because someone has more clout, or I can't think of a better word. Fame, clout, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
It doesn't make them any different than you or I. It's just they're perceived a little bit differently, but deep down inside, we're all the same, basically the same type of human beings.
Yeah.
So, you know, I've had my fair share of encounters with people that I thought, like, oh, they're this famous, like, they're not gonna give a shit about talking to me. Like, why would they want to hang out with me? Why would they want to skate with me? And then at the end of the day, it's just like, you know, I'm a skate rat, they're a skate rat. We all like the same thing. Like, we're gonna bond. You know, unless, you know, we're drastically different or something, then you know, it should all be good. Like, all get along. There shouldn't be a problem there.
Have you ever met a hero of yours? That there's that saying where it's like, you know, don't meet your hero, and it's often because you're disappointed. Have you ever met a professional skater or something where it's like, oh, I can't wait to meet this person, and then you do, and you're sort of disappointed or let down? And you don't have to say names, but has that ever happened to you?
No, actually, for the most part, it's been the opposite. Where I'd think I'd meet someone I looked up to a lot and be very disappointed. Well, not very disappointed, but it wouldn't live up to my expectations, and then I'd kind of get bummed out. But for the most part, as far as I can remember, everyone that I've looked up to and that I've met, I've been generally surprised, like, wow, this person's really as awesome as I thought they would be. So I can't think of a time where I've met someone and I'm like, oh man, wow, they're actually an asshole.
Yeah.
The only times I've ever met assholes is when I thought they would be assholes. So I guess I kind of have a good perception on people's personalities.
Yeah. All right, so let's get into who you actually are. So your name is Jeff DeChesare, right?
Yes, correct.
Is there some way, like some accent, like what DeChesare, what is that?
It's Italian.
Can you say it in some like Italian
Well,
accent?
no, I mean, that's not even my real last name, technically. My real last name is DeChesare, but my great grandparents, whatever, they put the H in there to just, kind of roll off the tongue easier.
Interesting.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of people think my name is like French or something, but when you hear DeChesare, you know it's an Italian name.
DeChesare. So are you of Italian descent? Basically, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I'm like 25% Italian. Apparently, my dad tells me I'm related to Julius Caesar. I'm related to Julius Caesar, or I was related to one of his slaves. It's probably related to one of his slaves, but either way, it's kind of a cool backstory.
Is that sort of like family, like folklore, or do you think it's actually true, or is that just something that's been passed down?
I don't know, man. My dad says a lot of shit, so who knows? I'm gonna take his word for it. He's a pretty good. He's like a history buff, so I don't really think he would have no reason to lie to me about that. So I'll take his word for it.
What did your mother and father do for work when you were growing up? Are they still doing the same thing?
Well, I mean, my dad passed away 6 years ago, but both of them they're retired. I think they actually met through work. I don't know necessarily what they were doing at the time, but I know when I was growing up, my dad was like a counselor. He
oh wow.
Not like a school counselor. Like he would help people get jobs and stuff. He was
okay.
he was like a career counselor. And my mom was she worked in a hospital. She was a cardiac technician, so she like worked with the hearts and all that stuff. She did that for like 15 years, and now her and my stepdad just like they don't live in Jersey anymore. They live in Pennsylvania, and they're just chilling. They're retired, living the life.
Did your folks go to college? Your real father and your mother?
Yeah. My dad went to Rutgers University.
Rutgers?
It's pretty well-known college in New Jersey. And my mom went to a couple colleges, but she went to Ithaca College, which is in New York. And it's actually pretty funny. My stepdad and my mom, they didn't meet until I was like 13 years old. But
really?
They went to the same college and were a year apart. So they probably seen each other on campus and didn't even know it, which it's kind of a funny coincidence.
Do you like him, your stepfather?
Yeah, he's awesome. He supports skating and anything I do to the fullest. So and he's like the chillest guy ever. Like it's really, really hard to piss him off. So it's pretty cool.
What was the gap like between the death of your father and your mother meeting this new man? What was there like a couple year gap?
Well, I mean, my mom and stepdad actually got married before my dad passed away.
Oh, really?
So yeah, my parents got divorced when I was 13 years old, and then my mom got remarried when I was going on 15, or I was 15 years old, and my dad just, he did his own thing. He was like, he would date girls. He never got remarried though, because I don't know. I feel like he kind of knew his health was on the edge and he didn't have much longer, so he didn't want to get in a serious relationship like that. And he was just single up until the day he died.
Was that a turbulent time for you, or was it sort of like a nice break? So your parents, when they split up, was that turbulent for you, or was it sort of smooth?
For the most part, it was smooth. For the longest time, my parents wanted to split up for a long time, but they didn't, just because they knew like I didn't want them to split up, and I was a young kid. Like I think they figured once I was going to high school, like it wouldn't be that harsh to me. So, and it really wasn't. Like I don't know. I guess just watching like TV and movies and stuff, I figured like having a divorced parents was gonna be like weird or something. But it was tight. I got like more presents at Christmas and birthdays and stuff, and every time I'd be pissed off at my mom, I'd be like, "Oh, I'm calling Dad. I'm gonna hang out with him." So it was cool. It was like it was a cool experience actually. So to any kids out there who are going through a similar thing, it's really not that bad.
So you wouldn't consider yourself fucked up over it because some kids they don't come back from their parents divorcing.
No, of course not. And then none of that ever screwed anything up in my life. If anything, it kind of made me happier seeing my parents happy doing what they wanted to do rather than like sacrificing their well-being just to make me satisfied.
Did something seem off before the divorce happened? Did you think,
dude, I knew my parents hated each other, dude.
Really? What makes you say that?
They would fight all the time. Like my dad hated my grandpa, like my mom's dad. Like they would. It was bad, dude. I knew they were just staying together for me, but I don't know. I whatever. Yeah, I knew they were gonna get split apart eventually, but yeah.
Or you're talking about how, if your mom made you mad, you would, say, I'm calling Dad. Do you think there's such a thing as a mama's boy or like a daddy's boy? And if there is such a thing, what are you, if either?
Yeah, I definitely believe that's a thing. I wasn't really either. I love both my parents, but I wouldn't really like necessarily favor one more than the other. I like both of them equally, but there are times where like I'd be mad at my mom for something and I'd just get upset and want to leave and be like, all right, well, I wouldn't be like, well, I'm calling Dad. I'll be like, well, all right, I'm going to go hang out with Dad. I just call him. He'd come over. He didn't live that far away. And I mean, there'd be times I'd be hanging out with my dad and he got to be a little too much. I'd be like, all right, can you take me home now? So it goes hand in hand. Like I wasn't a mama's boy. I wasn't a daddy's boy. Like,
yeah.
I just like both my parents.
Sort of a balanced kid. I mean, do you think you were a balanced kid?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like even with the divorce, I feel like I spent equal amount of time with both of them.
So, do you talk to your mom often?
All the time. Yeah. I like, she's like one of my best friends. It feels like I just text her, call her all the time. Like even like the littlest thing that happens in my life, I like have to tell her just cause I don't know. It feels wrong that if I don't tell her.
How often do you think about her?
Every day.
When you talk to her on the phone and you are about to hang up, do you say, I love you?
No, I don't do that. That's too sappy for me.
Yeah, I've been forcing myself to lately. I guess I can say it stems from this. Like my grandpa died a couple years ago of lung cancer, and ever since I had experienced that loss, it just sort of started like a chain reaction where I'm just a little bit more aware, and at least I try to be aware. And so now when I talk to my mom. Because my dad's not really in the picture. We've recently reconnected, but so when I talk to my mom, I'll force out like an "I love you." I'm just like sometimes I'm just like worried something's gonna happen. So that's why I asked. Do you think though that somehow that sentiment's communicated, even though you're not saying those words?
Yeah, no, I definitely since my dad passed away, I definitely think about it a lot more. Like, oh man, I mean, anything can happen. You got to let your people know that you love them whenever you can. You never know the last moment's going to be with them. But just like, I mean, obviously, my mom should know me better than anyone else. And she knows that it would be so forced if I was just like, yeah. I love you, Mom. Like she would probably start laughing if I said that.
Are you okay, Jeff?
She'd be like, were you drinking again? Like, it's just like, I don't know. It's not like she's offended by me not saying that. She just, if I did, it would be weird.
Does she say it to you?
No.
Yeah.
She, no, she has to be really drunk to say that.
Yeah. I think, it's sort of, you're saying it would feel forced, but I think it kind of is an uncomfortable thing. It's for some people it's forced. But it's sort of, for me, it's weird to get that real sometimes, to like tell even my sister, because I have a lot of sisters, to like tell them I love them. Like, you know, now that I'm getting a little older and I don't see them as much, I hug them when I leave, like for sure, like bye, see you later, even if I don't say I love you. But you know, the older I get, the more I feel time, you know, I hate to get morbid by this, I just sort of feel time like going away. It's like like all of a sudden you wake up and you're like 30, and then all of a sudden you wake up and you're 40. Dude, and
don't remind me, I turned 28 in like 5 days.
28?
Yeah, I remember being 18 like yesterday.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's true. Like the older you get, the quicker time goes by.
Yeah, it's scary. I think that's why it's interesting to talk to older people, like, you know, like people like in their 60s and 70s. It's like, by that point, they have a much better idea. They're trying to give us their wisdom. But, you know, when you're young, it's in one ear out the other.
Seems like bullshit.
Yeah. It's like, what do you mean? You know, what do you mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like,
you're
I'm
old, you're crazy. What do you know? Like, no, but they know everything, really. Unless they're senile, then don't listen.
Yeah. Excluding those people. But like my grandma, you know, she's not that old, but she's so like nice and patient, and it's stuff that you kind of learn over time. It's like when you're young, you think you have forever, and you treat people like that sometimes. Like, you know, there's so many times I was like mean to my mom and mean to people and myself, and it's like, you know, when you get older, you realize those are days wasted, days that you just pissed on.
Yeah, I mean, I've always like. See, it's like a balance with me. I have like a little bit of a bad temper. So sometimes I get mad at people, but like on the same side, I usually forgive people right away, just because I realize like, oh man, I may have been out of line. Like they may have taken it harder than I wanted them to. So if I ever like get mad at someone, I'll usually apologize, even if it's their fault, clearly.
Yeah.
I'll just feel bad.
You say you have a temper? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I get that from my dad. He had a terrible temper. Like the littlest thing could piss. He was like, it was strange. He was like, he may have been bipolar or something. He was like the nicest guy, but like the littlest thing could piss him off.
And what would happen? How would he express
Dude,
the temper?
I'll give you a story right now. So when I was about 7 years old, my dad was taking me to play tennis for like the first time ever. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm 7 years old. Go to the tennis court. He serves the ball to me. I thought it was like baseball or something. I hit the ball as hard as I can.
Yeah.
Somehow I aimed the ball perfectly at his head. Hit him in the head. And keep in mind, I'm like 7 years old.
Yeah.
I hit him in the head. He just stomps off the court, gets in the car. And I'm like, what's happening? And then like I run to the car. I'm like, Dad, what are you doing? Where are you going? And he's like, he just like points to his forehead. And he's like, do you see what you did? And the worst part is like, I didn't notice anything on his head. So I'm like, no, what's wrong? And like, obviously like he's hurting. Like I hit him in the head with a tennis ball. And then he's like, just get in the car. Let's leave. But like, afterwards, like, you know, he apologized. He realized I'm like a little kid. I don't know what I'm doing. But yeah, I don't know, any little thing, like, I don't know. It was funny to me watching him go off on other people, but when it was me, it wasn't funny. But yeah, I definitely acquired that trait from him.
So you say that you have that trait. Do you think that it was a social thing? You know, you learned it socially, or it's sort of in your blood?
Honestly, I think it's genetic. Just cause like I've to be honest with you, I noticed it comes out the most in my skating. Just like it's a very impatient reaction. Just I get really angry when I can't. It's mainly when I can't do things that I know I can do, like tricks I do all the time. That's when I get the most, like, the temper comes out. So I've literally tried my hardest to, like, keep it in and control it, but I just can't. No matter what I do, like, there's something in me that just makes it burst out.
And what happens? So when it erupts, what are the behaviors?
Dude,
what
it's
are
bad. You don't want to know.
I do. I do want to know.
It's fun. Anyone who skates with me knows it can get pretty ugly. Like, of course, there's the yelling, the curse words, all that stuff. But sometimes I like turn into a different personality. I start like mimicking people. Like,
Really?
yeah,
People who are trying to help you, even.
yeah, no, like random people. Like I could just like I don't know, like sound like.
What, Donald Duck or something?
Yeah, like some random like Michael Jackson or something. I don't know. Like I'll just like burst out into these voices that like don't sound anything like me, but for some reason it helps calm me down. It's like it's so strange.
You're saying you go crazy, basically.
I think I literally go crazy for a few seconds, which it helps though. Like my friend Lamont Holt, whoever's listening, you may know who he is. He's someone who pointed out, like, he's watched me skate, he's watched me do this before, and he's like, I think you're the only person who getting mad actually helps them land the trick. Like, the madder I get, I will get closer and eventually land the trick.
What do you think people who watch that think? So do you do it like at a skate park, or is it really when you're at like a 12 set, like where no one's watching?
I try my hardest not to do it in public because
really
that's how those rumors like, oh, he's an asshole or he's cocky, that's how those start, because they don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah,
for all they know, I could just just be looking like a dick for no reason, but they don't know like I've spent like 3 hours on a trick and just terrified to do it. But yeah, I try my best not to do it at a skate park. Well, first off, when you're at a skate park, the trick doesn't even matter that much, so you shouldn't be getting that mad in the first place. But man, I want to say, well, to me, like when I'm trying a trick on street, filming it, if it's not a battle for me, it's not worth it. It's like, it's not worth it to film that trick. So just that alone, the battle, like almost every time I film a trick on street, I go crazy.
Well, see, because you're, I guess I'll speak for you because you probably won't say this for yourself, but you're at a level where you're not just doing any trick anymore. It's not just, olling a 10-stair, which would be huge for me. You're actually pushing yourself, I would think, as far as you can go. And when you're at that brink, you just go nuts. You're at your maximum and you're trying to get to that next level or trying to maintain your level.
Yeah.
And it's a battle, it sounds like.
Exactly. That's the other thing that I think comes off bad to people because, like I said, I get the most angry when I can't do stuff that I know I can do, like stuff I've done before. So like I don't know, just for example, like maybe a trick that I'm not doing in a few tries may be extremely hard for someone else, but to me it's like that's like a warm-up trick. So I'll be getting really mad, and in their heads they'll be like, why is he getting mad? Like, I'd be so happy if I could do that. So that's another reason why it may like come off the wrong way to some people. Just like like if I try something that I've never done before in my life, it takes a lot longer for me to get mad about that. Not landing because I haven't done it.
Right.
But it's the stuff that I've like, it's like my warm up tricks. If I can't do stuff I do all the time, then I'm like, what's wrong with me? Like, why can't I do this? That's what gets me the most upset.
Do you think it's different for other skaters? For instance, we've talked about it before, but how you're saying, people might take it the wrong way, that like you're like this behavior where you're trying to do something that you can do. You've done it 100 times. So you're getting mad and you're expressing that anger. Do you think that's typical for other skaters? Do you think those rumors come around for other guys too, not just you? I mean, obviously it must be other than just you, but it seems like that's a big part of your skating career.
Yeah, I think it does. I think some people have I think other people can hold it in a little bit better. But to me, it's like, I don't know if this is necessarily true, but it's kind of my theory. Like, the more mad you get about a trick from skating, means you care more about skating. Because, like, I don't know, say you're trying a trick for a long time and you just don't get mad at all. To me, that's saying, like, you don't give a shit about skating. Like, oh, whatever. I don't care if I don't do this. To me, if I don't do a trick that I really want to do, I'm like, oh my God, I'm a failure. Like, what am I doing? Why can't I do this? Like, it's like, I care so much about skateboarding. This is my entire life. It's like when I can't do something I set out to do, is just like, not heartbreaking, but just very upsetting. So I feel like people who are, get a little more mad or obviously they care about skateboarding a lot. Yeah. And, it's like compared to it's like a relationship. Like, say a girl and a guy break up, and whichever one it is, the girl or the guy, say one is like heartbroken over it. Well, they really love that person. If they don't really care, they probably never really liked that person in the first place. That's the way I see it.
It sounds like a pure love, really. Because it's not, for instance, imagine like a doctor or like a physicist or a chemist. They're working on some like problem, some theorem, some medicine, and they're pulling their hair out over this like cancer treatment, and they're just not getting it. They're trying to make this breakthrough, and it makes sense. Like, yeah, this guy's trying to, solve one of the world's biggest problems, and it makes sense that this guy's going crazy. How do you measure that? How you respond to it, to what you do, because obviously it's like, you're not curing cancer, but you care about it like you are.
Yeah. I know I'm not saving anyone's life by doing a trick. I might be saving my own life by doing a trick, but, no, I know I'm not making a huge difference in the world at all, but I do know, like, obviously, I do have fans and stuff out there who like to see the tricks and stuff that I do, and a day goes by where I don't do what I set out to do. That's like a setback. And it's like, oh, well, that's one more thing I have to go back and do now. So it's just like basically just an upset in time. Like, I could have done this much stuff in this amount of time, but now I have to go back and do this. And just the whole process of going back to a spot and getting yourself hyped up and like getting in that whole mental state of committing to a trick. And it's the worst. It's just like, like you lose sleep over it. Like depending on like how gnarly or insane the trick is, like for the most part, no one ever wants to go back to a spot to do a trick. But at the same time, for me, it's like, it's almost like if I don't take 2 trips back to a spot, it's not worth it because it was too easy. So it's like you can't win.
Yeah. You talk about that in a video that I saw last night. You're talking about how a lot of skaters, they won't go back to the spot, or I think you said that some skaters do and some skaters don't, but that for you, how much it means to you, you feel like you're conquered if you don't get it, and that it like haunts you in a way. You go home and you're still thinking about how you didn't do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. You want to conquer the spot. You don't want the spot to conquer you. It's like, to be honest with you, I've never been in a fight my entire life, but I imagine, kind of getting a really hard trick at a spot that you're scared of, scared you're going to get hurt on. It's kind of like winning a fight. Like, you don't know what the consequences are. You could get the shit beaten out of you, or this guy could be a weakling and you could come out on top. You don't know what the results are going to be. So in my head, that's kind of like, if you don't get the trick at the spot, it's kind of like the guy beat you up, and now you got to kind of prove yourself. If you don't go back to the spot, it's kind of just like giving up and be like, all right, this guy defeated me, whatever, move on. But other people are more determined than others. Some people might just do the trick they're trying at a different spot. And me, I can't. I try my hardest to do the trick that I try to the spot, because I know I'm super OCD. Like I write lists and all this stuff. Like everything has to be exactly how I kind of planned it out. So if I don't go back to a spot, like the only reason for that is if it got skate stopped or like someone did the trick,
fenced up or something. Yeah,
some like valid excuse. But if it's like a perfectly good spot and no one's done the trick, I'm not hurt, my board's not broken, there's no reason to not go back. I know it's going to be on my mind. Like, I wanted to do this trick at this exact spot. Like, even if I do this trick on, let's say, a better spot, I'm still going to be thinking about this. Like, why didn't I do this there? Like, it's just a skateboarding is like 99% mental and 1% physical.
Yeah, that's how I feel. Like, I really don't risk anything nowadays. Like, when I was a little younger, I would like try to, kickflip like a 5-set or something, try it all day and never get it. Now that I'm older, like I just don't even go for anything because to me, that's like gnarly for like an average guy. And I'm too afraid to just like bust my ankles. Like, so it's interesting that you're thinking about these risky things. I mean, you're conquered by something or sometimes conquered maybe, but you're willing to put so much on the line for what might to someone else not mean very much. To me, it does, of course, and to you it does, but it's like someone who doesn't know about it will say, what the hell's this guy doing? Like, why does he care so much? It's just jumping down something and he's risking it all. It's interesting that you think about that when you go home at night. You didn't land the trick and you're still thinking about it. Would you do these things even if they weren't being filmed? If nobody would see them, would you still be doing these big sets?
To be honest with you, probably not. But I mean, obviously I haven't been filming my skateboarding the entire time I've been skateboarding. So like, yeah, basically all the big stairs and super risky stuff, that's kind of for entertainment value and just something to look back on. But say like for some reason like cameras didn't exist or something ever again, I would still skate. That's not going to cause me to quit skateboarding. I'm going to still skateboard no matter what. I'm still going to try to progress, just maybe not do as dangerous things, just progress in different ways, learn other tricks. And but cameras definitely, they're motivating. They motivate anyone. I mean, you're lying if you're saying cameras don't motivate you to try crazier stuff.
Yeah. So do you have any sponsors right now? Do you get like flow from people?
Yeah, I ride for DVS shoes.
That's awesome. That's huge.
Grizzly Griptape, Krux trucks, Ricta wheels, Rockstar bearings, and Lacorda threads.
And is that clothing or?
Lacorda is actually, they're a shoelace belt company, but they make apparel, so it's like a clothing shoelace belt company.
Wow. Do you get gear from these companies?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the idea.
Yeah, because I have no idea. I always see guys online, like they'll post on their story, like they'll open a box and there's like, 10 pairs of shoes or like, shirts, like just tons of shirts. Yeah. Is that sort of your experience with these sponsors?
Well, yeah, I mean, I definitely get free product. I don't know if I get 10 pairs of shoes every box or anything like that, but I mean, they take care of me. They give me as many shoes as I need. I don't go through shoes very quickly. So,
can you remember the last time you bought a pair of shoes for skating?
Probably like 5 years ago.
Wow. Are there any things that you have to buy yourself to like maintain this activity you do?
It's if you notice, I didn't say I have a board sponsor, but I have people who hook me up with boards. I don't necessarily ride for the companies, but I have friends who run companies who are down to hook me up. But every now and then I'll have to buy a deck or something just because I don't want to bug my friends anymore.
Do you kind of just wait for them to give it to you, or do they notice like, hey, your board's looking shipped?
I mean, I'll hit them up. I'll be like, hey, you able to like flow me some boards? Just I mean, I'll word it differently. I'll be talking to them and throw it in a conversation just so I don't like seem like I'm using people, but because I'm not. I mean, generally it's like my friends that help me out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll. They don't really go out of their way. I'll just, be like, oh yeah, so you have the budget to like flip some boards, and they're down to help. I just kind of feel bad asking that because I don't ride for a certain team or anything,
and that sucks. I mean, I forget what video. I don't know if it was John Hill or Lamont, but one of these videos they were talking about how it's like, how the hell does Jeff not have a board sponsor? It's like it's sort of how can I say this? It's like why do you have to ask? It's is there something wrong with you? Is there something wrong with the industry? Is there something wrong with the economy? How do you explain the fact that you even have to ask for boards when you're at this level?
I think it's all the above you just said. I don't know, man. I have had board sponsors in the past. They just like didn't really pan out, or quit for one reason or another. But right now, I don't know. Basically, my answer is don't get me wrong, there's companies out there that have reached out to me that would like to put me on their team. I've even been offered to be quote pro for them.
Yeah.
But the way I see it in this industry, there are A-list companies and B-list companies.
And even worse, I presume.
Let's just keep it to A-list and B-list. I'm not going to throw anyone under the bus that much. But yeah, most of these companies are B-list companies. And in my head, when I was a kid, and it's probably every kid's dream to be a pro skater who picks up a skateboard.
Yeah.
When I was younger, I wanted to turn pro for a legitimate company, and that's still my goal today. So,
anything in sight in terms of what you want, or you just would be happy if any company?
Not any company. I want like a legitimate brand that I'm stoked to be a part of to turn me pro.
Like I guess, any kid could probably do this, but what like say top 5 that you would be your dream? Like
top 5 board brands?
Yeah, top dream here when you tell me these top 5.
Man. Yeah, I gotta take a second to think. I know the first one.
What's the first one?
Enjoy. That's my favorite board company.
Because of the riders or just the quality?
Everything. The boards are good. The team's sick. Their image is like funny as hell. They're just super sarcastic. All their every one of their ads is hilarious. They're awesome.
Who's on Enjoy?
Louis Barletta, Caswell Berry, Enzo Catella.
Dude, Enzo's insane. He did a huge kickflip. I don't know the spot, but it's like a huge 10 block or something.
Yeah, I know the spot.
It's like it's one of the biggest kickflips I've ever seen.
He's one of my favorite skaters. He's insane, dude. Just turned pro for them.
Oh, really? What, this year or
last year in like November? But yeah, they got a bunch of other people. They're a super sick team.
How do you feel, but would you accept a Baker sponsor?
Of course. No, Baker's awesome.
Is that top 5 or no?
It was my favorite company back in the day. I don't know. They're kind of different now. I don't necessarily know if they're like top 5 now. Another one. Fuck, man. I need to think for a second.
Yeah, it's hard.
I forget like what companies are out there. I like Blind a lot. A lot of my friends ride for Blind, so just the fact that I have a lot of friends over there, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Death Wish. I like Death Wish a lot, which is like, they're like the sister company of Baker, but just I don't know, I kind of like their image a little bit more. It's a little different than Baker. What else?
You would sign, so those like few companies you listed, would you sign like next day? So like, hey Jeff, we kind of want, we want you on.
Absolutely. Yeah, of course. No doubt. No questions. Yeah.
Yeah, it seems like those companies. I'd really love to see the numbers, but it seems like they pay their guys well, or these guys are real pros, like we were talking about, in the sense that they're taken care of by these companies.
Yeah.
You were talking earlier about how now a lot of guys have to rely on multiple sponsors to even just hang on.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? Is that a sign of the times? Has it always been that way? Are people greedier now?
Yeah, it's definitely a sign of the times. There was a point where, well, I mean, I don't know 100%, but from what I've heard, people would be able to rely on just like board sales back like 10, 15 years ago. Yeah. And then like economy kind of crashed. And not only that, there's just so many board brands now. It's super saturated that, you know, people are just buying boards from every type of brand, but it's not just the top 5, 10.
Yeah, they're out there. It's like top 100 now, it seems like.
Yeah, so you do the math, it's like kids are buying boards from every which way. It's not just, you know, if you make it on this team, like you're going to make this much money. It's a lot different nowadays. So, yeah, I think it's a sign of the times, not really anything else.
Well, you were saying you listed a few of the sponsors you have. I mean, in my opinion, that sounds like making it. You know, do you feel like you've made it?
No, but I mean, that kind of sounds greedy and selfish in a way.
Or no, because like you're experiencing it yourself, so you have a place to say that.
Yeah, I mean, because don't get me wrong, I'm super thankful for everything that's like ever been given to me through skateboarding.
Even now, every package you get, you're like,
absolutely, yeah, I appreciate it all, and I know there's tons of kids who would kill to be in my position, get, you know, any type of sponsor that I listed. But at the same time, it's like, it's not where I want to be. I want to be like one of those A-list people who's, you know, making super good board sales and relying on just, you know, not having to rely on a bunch of sponsors to make it, and just, I don't know, like, it's a goal of mine to be in Street League one day.
Yeah. I mean, you're super consistent. Like, that's what I noticed in the Braille edit. I think you like triple flip. What is it, a 5 or what is that?
Yeah, it's like a 5 stair.
You're like doing all these tricks, like just back to back. And, you know, I don't know the guy's name, but he's like going crazy every time you like land something.
Yeah.
You probably do pretty well, I would think, in Street League. Do you think you would hold up your end considering the talent that's in that competition?
Well, I don't know, man. There's like everyone in Street League is amazing, unbelievable. I don't know. I'm not the greatest contest skater. I kind of get the nerves sometimes, so I don't know if they would kick in there, or the thought of the consequences of doing well in a contest like that. Maybe I just would block it all out and not care and just try my hardest. I don't really know. I've never been in the position, but I feel like, say I was invited to do one, I would definitely train. Like, it kind of sounds weird to train for skateboarding, but it's like nowadays it's what's coming to. It's going to be an Olympic sport. It's, you know, people are going to be training for that.
Yeah. So, yeah. I'm expecting that. Well, aren't they assembling like an Olympic team?
Yeah, there is an Olympic team. But to my knowledge, they picked the team this year, but it can change by the time the Olympics happen, just due to like contest rankings and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Cause that's what it's based on.
Yeah.
It's based on the top contest people, basically.
Yeah.
So that can change within a year, but they have a rough idea of who's going to be in it.
Yeah. I was talking to a friend. He didn't agree, but I'm imagining that in the near future, just like basketball and football, there are these optimal like bodies that like do these sports. It seems like, you know, okay, this height and this weight, this muscular stature seem to be the best people to like be on a football team. I wonder, I obviously don't have the answer, but I wonder if skateboarding will be similar, where it's like maybe not a body type, but it's like you just think of the athleticism, where I don't know if it's muscle that matters, or, you know, because I see like big guys doing like crazy stuff, and you wouldn't think heavy guys could do big stuff.
Yeah.
Do you think there's some optimal body type, or is it purely variable? Anybody can be the best.
Yeah, literally anyone can be the best, because you got like Jamie Foy's who are a little bigger. You got like, trying to think, like Andrew Reynolds, super tall, lanky guy. Like, I don't know. You got all types of body types in there. Like, anyone can be a great skateboarder. It doesn't really. I couldn't tell you what body type is better for skateboarding. I used to have an idea. I used to think, like, if you were lighter,
that's what I thought.
You'd be like more aerodynamic and less prone to injury. But there are people out there proving me wrong. There's a lot of heavy set people who are really, really good at skateboarding.
It's surprising to see. Ever since I was a kid, I thought, like, oh, I'm skinny. I can like do like acrobatic stuff. I would always think I was more athletic than like bigger guys. But now that I'm older and I'm seeing like some of these bigger looking guys skate, I'm like, dude, they're like, feebling like tall rails. Like, how are they doing that? And like, I'm not, and which proves me wrong. It doesn't, you don't have to be skinny per se to hit rails and stuff.
The extra muscle comes in handy.
Yeah. So we were talking about, you were on the news. I don't know. I think it was this year or last year. You were seen by Tony Hawk, and he asked you that fateful question, or that I should say command. He commanded you to do a kickflip. What was that like for you?
Dude, it was insane. It was one of the most surreal moments of my life. And I'm not just saying that. Like, there's only been a few moments in my life where I had to pinch myself afterwards, and that was one of them. It was the most random thing. So basically, it happened in Carlsbad at the Poods skate park, and I don't even live in Carlsbad. I live in LA, which is like 2 hours from Carlsbad.
And by chance, you were there that day, that moment.
Yeah, it was so random. I was just there to meet up with some guy who was visiting from Australia and was just there for a few days, and I decided to meet up with him that day. And while I was waiting for him at the skate park, I was just, 2 hour drive, got car legs. I'm just warming up in the parking lot. And to be honest with you, I was pissed off at first. I just like doing my thing, and I see a car pull up all slow, and I'm like, what the hell does this guy want? And then I see the door open, or not the door, the window roll down. And I'm like, is that Tony Hawk? What? And then I heard him talk, and I'm like, oh my God, this is Tony Hawk.
What, the first thing you literally heard him say, was it do a kickflip, or did he say something else?
I think that was literally the first thing he said to me. Yeah, do a kickflip. And then I'm just like, you're Tony Hawk. And then he's like, yeah, go do a kickflip. And I'm like, really? Do a kick? Or no. He's like, no. Okay, so yeah, he said do a kickflip. I'm like, you're Tony Hawk. And he's like, go do a double flip. And I'm like, hey, we know who you are. And I'm like, really? A double flip? Come on. And then he's like, do any flip. And I'm like, all right, I can't screw this up. And I was just land the kick flip, and because whatever. And I did the kick flip. I was happy I didn't mess up. Got some headphones. And then I was like, wow, dude, nice to meet you. Like, I really wanted to talk to him, and then he just drove off. I kind of felt bad, but then it's cool.
I mean, he drives away. Are you thinking like, okay, the car's gone? Did that really just happen? Like, did that actually happen? Because I don't see the car anymore.
Yeah, I don't know, man. It was like, I can't explain the feeling. It felt like a dream.
I mean, what's so odd is that you were then also on the news for that.
Yeah, I don't get that. I didn't think they gotta find better stuff to put on the news. Like, that's not that important.
Or it's funny because there are so many clips of Tony Hawk doing that, yet they picked your clip.
Well, no, they played a few of the clips, but mine happened to be in that montage or whatever.
Did you see yourself on the news? Were you at home like
no,
watching
I didn't. Chase Gabor from the barracks posted about it, and then I didn't even see that, but my friend told me, he shared the video with me. I'm like, holy shit.
Like, oh, what the hell?
I'm on the news. I'm gonna tell my mom.
Do you have well, I guess you just have it saved on Instagram. Can you just like find it anytime you want to watch that?
Yeah, it's on my Instagram, the little clip.
Or did the barracks post that or no?
Possibly.
I thought they might have posted that clip.
Chase Gabor is the filmer for the Barracks. He posted the clip.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just like, what the hell? Why is this on the news? So weird.
So you get noticed by Tony Hawk in a parking lot. Any skate park do you go to? Are you recognized at least by one person, or are there times where nobody knows who you are?
Well, in my head, I think so. I think almost. All right. Basically, that's the wrong question. It's like, do people speak up to me every time I go to a skate park? Because I don't know if people know me. I can just assume. Sometimes I'll go to parks and people be like, well, I mean, of course, there's people that I would just know because I know them. But then there's like strangers who'd be like, oh, what's up? You're that Jeff guy. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then there's other times I'll go to parks and people will just be like super silent, but they'll be looking at me. And I'm like, either there's something on my face or they recognize me or something.
Right.
Or maybe the tricks I'm doing are just look stupid. But yeah, one way or another, like either it's they say something or maybe I'm just paranoid. I feel like they're looking at me.
Yeah, I would think word would get around too. Like it would just take one person to know, and then like, oh, that's Jeff. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, 10 people know.
Yeah, and then another thing is too, like those times where people will see me and just not say anything. They'll just be looking. Like later that night, I'll get a message on Instagram, and be like, dude, I saw you at this skate park. And I'll be like, well, why didn't you say anything? And they're like, well, I was scared. I'm like, what? I'm not going to bite you? Like, I'm seriously, I'm a nice guy. If you ever see me, just talk to me. I'm not going to be mean or anything.
Yeah, that's, I think the coolest thing about meeting you is that all the things that I saw online, and by the way, it's not like every guy in the world like talks trash to you or talks trash about you online. It's probably like a pretty decent ratio of people that actually like you, support everything you do. But you know, these like mean comments that you see, just people talking about your style or your trick selection, they treat you like you're some sort of like bad guy or something. And
like I'm a villain.
I'm sitting here in front of you. I'm like, this is one of the nicest guys I've met. Like, you know, you have no reason to be here talking to me, yet here you are because you thought it was worth doing. And for that alone, it seems.
Yeah, man. I don't know. There's just, my theory on it is kind of just like a herd mentality. It's like, you know, like, I don't know I don't know where this all started from or whatever, just trash talking or whatever, but people probably see like, oh, that's a cool thing to do, so I'm going to go do it too. I may not know anything about this guy, but my friend is doing it, so I'm going to go join them.
And sometimes it's even for like the likes, you know, I'll find myself not trash talking people, but you know, it'll be a meme page and I'll try to come up with something funny. And all of a sudden you check back like, oh, there's like 5 likes on this thing. Oh, I better do that again. So it's like people, you know, you probably look at some of your comments and you see some of them have like hundreds of likes and it's like, oh, well, you can see the incentive there.
Dude, speaking of that, I commented on like Nyjah Houston's video yesterday and I'm not exaggerating. It had 2,500 likes in less than 1 day.
Wow.
And that's insane to me.
Yeah. Was it a particularly clever comment?
I mean, it was a pretty long thought out comment, but still like 2,500 likes. So that's like a lot of followers to people.
Yeah,
2,500.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's people would like probably literally kill to have 2,500.
To be honest,
likes.
Off that comment, I think I got 200 followers from that comment, leaving that comment.
Do you get comments? I mean, not comments. Do you get follows daily? You know, with the numbers you're pushing. Excuse me,
dude. It's strange. Like people think like I have like 90K whatever followers. They probably think like, oh, he gets followers all the time. I do, but I lose followers all the time. It's like
it's a back and forth.
It's like an equal amount, honestly. I probably lose the same amount in a day that I gain. So unless like a page posts me or something, I really don't get that many followers anymore. I feel like at this point, it's like I feel like most people know who I am, so they've either followed me or don't give a shit about me.
I mean, yeah, you know, the skate community is getting bigger and bigger, you know, every day that goes by, but at some point, you're probably right. There are, only so mmany skaters out there, and there is a good chance that, they know who you are. So it makes sense what you say, whether they chose to follow you or not. So you've done a ton of insane tricks. Like you've kick flipped what you call Skate Lab Toro. You've laser flipped so many like stair sets. You've triple flip stuff, double flip stuff, switch. I think it's a switch, big heel. Is that, you do that? Do you do that often? I think it's a switch.
I do switch big heels, but you might be thinking of the switch big spin hard flip trick.
Yeah. So all of this in the bag, why don't you get more credit? Why aren't you blowing up like some of these other people? Do you think that you're on par with a lot of these big skaters?
Dude, to be honest with you, it's a style thing. Like,
what do you mean? What do you mean by the style thing? There's
some tricks I do that look okay, but like the triple flips and to be honest with you, any trick that involves a kick flip with me, because I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, I never learned how to kick flip properly. Like I kick down on my kick flips, and it's kind of like looked down upon in skating. Like you don't flick out on your flips. It doesn't look that good. So I don't know, and people just, I don't know why. In my head when I was younger, I thought the more flips, like the more points. Like I thought it was a better trick, but I grew up and found out like, oh, people don't think it's that cool.
I'm a little sad to hear that. It sounds like you agree with these people. Because when I've been thinking about it more and more, and style, that's arbitrary. It's like cooking or something. Like, yeah, people can measure to some extent, but really it's just people choosing to think something is of a quality. So it sounds like you agree with these people who are saying you don't have a good style.
Dude, to be honest, I think it just got to my head. Like I'm gonna be perfectly honest with you, before I moved to California, I was completely oblivious to anyone hating me. Like,
well, did people hate on you even when you were in New Jersey?
I'm sure they did.
Well, how wouldn't you have known? It seems like you know it now, but how didn't you know before?
I was not on social media as much. Like my only way was like YouTube or whatever, and that's only so many people. So like I was completely oblivious to it until I moved to California. So the whole time I'm out skating, doing my thing, I'm just thinking like, oh yeah, like,
yeah, everyone I'm doing triple flips.
Yeah,
like, this is awesome.
I mean, like, how many people are doing these tricks? Like, they have to be cool. Like, everyone's on my side. And then I move out here, and then I start hearing like, oh, dude, anything with more than one flip's fucking stupid, or like, just like, oh, it looks so ugly. Like, in my head, like, I don't think any trick is ugly. I think all skateboarding is awesome. Like,
yeah.
I may hate on people, but I will never hate on anyone skateboarding. Like, I think I appreciate any skateboarding, like literally any skateboarding. I will not hate on anyone for skateboarding.
You're saying you see a guy skate into the park, Mongo footed, he doesn't have any technique and he's enjoying it. There's not one bit of you that's like, this guy sucks. Like, he's taking up space.
Well, I mean, of course, I'm not going to think he's amazing at skateboarding, but I'm not going to hate him for it. I'll just, if he's having fun, fuck it. I'll support it. Like, cool, whatever. He may not be pushing the correct way, the proper way, but he's having fun doing it. Who cares?
And do you think that he deserves the space? And I say that because I go to the skate park and I see so many kids standing on the sideline with their board. They show up and they stand on the sideline the whole day. And I think it's because they're afraid to be judged. They're afraid they're taking up space. Maybe they're just simply afraid. What would you say to kids like that who show up to the skate park and all they do is stand on the sidelines because they're afraid they aren't good enough?
I say you shouldn't care, because for the most part, no one's paying attention to you. Like, no one's watching you, especially if you're a beginner. No one, like, it sounds messed up, but I'm just being brutally honest. No one's paying attention to what you're doing. They're probably paying attention to what they're doing, trying their own tricks. And if they are watching you, they have no life, and you shouldn't care about what anyone with no life thinks about you. You shouldn't care about what anyone thinks about you anyway, but especially those type of people who like have nothing better to do than to rag on someone who's just a beginner trying to learn how to skate.
Yeah, that's true. It's like, why should I care about some guy who's judging me? He's like 100 times better. It's like, what? And he's talking trash about me like a kid. It's like, what good is that guy's opinion? It can only hurt me.
And dude, I hate to say it, but I have been there. I've seen legitimate pro skaters hating on like kids learning how to skate, and I'm like, this guy's the biggest piece of shit. Like, how is he professional?
Did you say you've seen pros?
Yes,
act that
I have
way?
seen pros talking shit about kids. Just
Kids. Please tell me you don't mean actually kids.
like I don't know how old they are, but like
12, 13,
you know, like teenagers. Yeah. Just like learning how to skate. I'm like, that is fucked up. You are the opposite of professionalism. I don't care how good you are at skateboarding. That's fucked up. Like it hurts me to see people do that.
Yeah. It's painful. It's like, you know, you're a champ. You should be a champion for these kids. I mean, they are giving you a career. You know, these kids being your fans, these people who don't know how to skate very well, look up to you. It's like you're stepping on. It's like biting the hand that feeds. It's like these are the people giving you a life,
and giving you a career. Yeah,
yeah. I think that's messed up. I mean, I'm not some like, you know, God or anything, but you know, if I can. And I notice it, and I see a kid standing there. It's like, dude, just get out there. Like, who gives a shit? Like, dude, you'll get better. Don't worry about it.
But some kids don't have that tenacity or like that confidence to just not give a shit and get out there. Some kids are just really timid and shy. Like I was one of those kids growing up. Like I was always kind of scared of people judging me and.
Before you were very good, like when you were just starting out?
Of course. Like, I learned most of my tricks in my driveway because no one was there to judge me. Yeah, like, if you watch my old YouTube videos, I'm just, like, either in my driveway or this factory, like, learning tricks off loading docks because no one was there to, like, judge me or...
Yeah.
Which goes to, like, that's kind of why I do the tricks I do, too. Like, the kind of the weird tricks you don't see too often because it's kind of a blessing that I grew up in Jersey instead of Cali, and it's funny I say that because like on the other end I'm like I wish I grew up in Cali because like who knows what could have happened, but like at the same time I wouldn't have been myself. I would have been like going by other people's judgments. Like if I say I started learning triple flips or something at the skate park, I'm sure someone would have been like, dude, that's stupid. You shouldn't do that.
And you might have stopped.
Yeah, I probably would have been like, oh, fuck. All right. Yeah.
Oh, I better not do that.
And then like just the me doing my own thing the whole time I'm out in Jersey kind of brought out like the most talent in myself. Like I did what I thought was cool and what was good.
Which is what's important, honestly.
And it was what individualized me from everyone else. Like, there's a reason that I kind of have gotten known.
Yeah,
I guess.
I mean, you stand out for a reason.
Which, that's like my advice to kids. If you want to make a career out of skateboarding or get known or get famous, whatever you want, you gotta stand out. You can't be like everyone else because there's so many good skateboarders nowadays and they all blend in together. The only way you're going to be known or stick out is you got to do your own thing and not listen to like what the mentality of what is quote quote normal. Cause I don't know. Just be yourself, be cool, be individual. And that's my best advice.
I asked around a little bit about you. Just sent a few messages to people that I know, who I won't name. Just because you have a reputation. I've heard about your temper. I forget what video it was, but I think his name was Eddie Jerry. He makes a comment in one of those videos. He's like, "Oh yeah, he has a temper," and then like in that video they show you throwing your skateboard and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So
Eddie's one of my. He's a friend of mine. He's a filmer.
Yeah. Does he work for what is it? NK?
No. We all like know him, but he never like got paid to film for him or anything.
Oh, I see. But that comment sort of stood out to me because I'd heard that. Like I had seen people saying, "Oh yeah, Jeff, at Venice, he can't land a trick after an hour and he starts throwing his board around or something." So I was like, okay, I want to see what people have to say about him. And do you mind if I read something that someone said?
No, go for it.
I know you have a thick skin. It's not like crazy, but it appears to be wrong to me.
Okay.
It says, I think his skating is one thing people hate on, and I get it sort of, though I enjoy watching some of his clips just to be like, what the fuck? But his personality is what puts me off a little bit. Some of his captions and things I've heard about him weird me out. Does that reflect you?
I don't know what they mean by captions. Everything I put, I don't think is inappropriate.
I don't know. I wish I'd gotten a specific, but I'm wondering if, do you ever put on some weird flavor? Like, do you ever like have like a snide comment about something like, oh, guess I'm not going to get, noticed today, even though it's like an awesome clip or something. Can you think of anything that would make somebody think that?
Yeah, no, I'm 100%. I'm like super sarcastic. That's the other thing. People who don't know me don't get my humor. Like they might think I'm being dead serious, but I'm being super sarcastic. I'm like almost everything I say is sarcastic. So
Right.
like someone might think I'm dead serious when I'm just like fucking around. Like for example, maybe I'll do a trick, I'll watch it, and I'll be like, well, wasn't as good as that slappy on the curb I just saw. And then like all
of a sudden people
will think I'm like, making fun of people who do slappies. Like,
yeah,
in a sense, I guess I'm just, kinda, but like I don't have anything against people who do that trick. I'm just like, cause like what I think we were talking about this, how like these like pages like just want to post up like what's in, like what's cool, and like obviously that type of skating is like a little bit more popular than the stuff that I do, even though it may. I'm not gonna go any further. Not gonna say anything else, but let's just say I will say something like that. So whoever commented that, I could see where they're coming from.
Wow. I think that's very interesting that you have this ability, I think an admirable quality where I just read a criticism to you, and rather than shrug it off and be like, that guy's my asshole, you actually thought about it. You actually considered what the person said, and in a small way, you're saying you agree that it's not quite accurate. People are misreading you, but that you can understand. And I think that's a good quality. Some people don't hear criticism at all.
I don't think I'm perfect at all. I know a lot of the stuff I say may sound messed up to people, but I'm a weird guy. Like a lot of the stuff, like that's the thing. People they don't know me. That's the problem. They don't know my personality. They don't. I don't know. Anyone who knows me gets my humor and knows I'm just like I'll never mean anything bad by anything I say. I'm just messing around. So probably whoever that was maybe just took something I said out of context or something.
Let's see. I've got one more, and these aren't. It's not like this is like Eric Costner or something. It's these are just people that I know.
I figured it wasn't like.
Yeah, I mean. So one more, and these aren't that bad, I don't think. I think it's just like it was just thoughts they had about you, and they've never met you.
Mm-hmm.
Another one is he gets a lot of hate because his tricks are pretty whack and doesn't pop anything, but he definitely does some gnarly shit. I'm pretty sure he is kind of cocky when it comes to skateboarding, maybe because he's the only one who can do the tricks he does. But at the same time, nobody wants to be doing those tricks. In all honesty, what he does is hard, but it's just not appealing to the skate community. Maybe he just thinks he's the best because he's doing stuff nobody else is doing. Is there do you find any truth?
And you said
to that?
I've never met any of these people.
No, these are just people.
There it goes to show. How does he know I think I'm the best? Has he ever heard me say that?
I doubt it.
Well, there you go. Then everything he said is just irrelevant.
Yeah. So
I don't think I'm the best at all. I don't even think I'm good. Like I talk shit about my own self all the time. So I don't know. Go on with your question.
Like, do your feelings get hurt when you like read something like that, or it's like, dude, it's like you don't even know me, like, or have you kind of developed an immunity to that?
I mean, there's no point anymore. It's like I'd love to say that, but there's no point. Like I could say that, but it just kind of looks like a cry for help in a way. Like, you don't even know me. Like, it's like showing like it's like making them think I care, but I really don't care that much.
I got another one, but it's more of like a defense, I would say. Jeff is a talented skater with some amazing and crazy tricks. I think a lot of people appreciate his skating. There are always haters, of course, especially with all the attention he gets. I think people have different reasons to hate. Some people don't like his style. Some people just like to criticize everything for no reason. I think some people hate out of jealousy. I can't know for sure what people's reasons are. Some people feel better about themselves when they pick other people apart. It never makes sense to me why there are so many haters and judgmental people. I'm not sure about his attitude. I met him once and have talked to him a few times. He seems nice to me. How do you feel about a comment like that?
Seems pretty genuine. I don't know. They said they met me, so it's a little more credible than the last comment.
That's true. That's actually a very good thing to point out. This is someone who has actually been in the room with you, and apparently, and just like I have, you know,
just to point it out. Do you notice, like, okay, so those first two people, they both never met me.
Both never met you.
This person has.
Yes.
You notice this comment sounds nicer.
Yeah, a lot nicer.
Dude, I wonder why.
I think it's an important lesson. It's hard to fault people for having opinions. It's like, it's so easy to like think things about others. Are we always right? No. But just look at the difference meeting someone does. It's like, you know, it's so easy to not like someone you don't know. Of course, I mean, it's just a figment of your imagination at that point. Like, you know, people might have this picture of you or somebody in their head, and it's a straw man, basically. They're attacking someone who actually doesn't exist. Yeah. You're not the person people are attacking. That's not you.
Yeah, it's just whatever the internet makes me out to be, I guess.
Yeah, I don't know. It's sad. I'm happy to say that you're a nice guy. Anybody who ever asks me, I will have no problem defending you. It's like how can I possibly let? It's like if someone said something about you, it's like, well, I know the guy. It's not true. You know, it's like I met the damn guy. You said something interesting in one of your videos. I can't remember which one because I saw so many, but you said people give up after a certain amount of trips to a spot. We were sort of talking about this before. You said people give up after a certain amount of trips to a spot, but to me, I hate the feeling of having a spot or trick conquer me. It's the equivalent of getting the shit beaten out of you. I don't want to lose a fight. I want to land the tray. It's going to feel that much better if you had to work that hard for the trick. It's the most unexplainable, best feeling in the world when you finally get it after so many hours and attempts clocked in to do one thing that is good. One thing that lasts for a millisecond. Is that why you skateboard? That feeling?
Yeah, basically. I don't know. It's the only thing in the world that can give me that feeling, that sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. Like, you know, I don't know. You can like go to an ordinary job and fulfill your goals and stuff, but it's not the same thing. It's like stuff that anyone can really do. Skateboarding is like something that you created that you might be the only person who can actually do that in the entire world, and knowing that no one else may ever do it again and you just did that. It's I don't know. It's just like a superior feeling. I can't you have to be a skateboarder to know what I'm talking about. It's just like you just forget about every bad thing ever while you're doing like the trick. Like I said, it lasts like a millisecond, but it's like it feels so much longer when you do it because it's such a good feeling. Yeah. So
it is almost unexplainable. Like even like, you know, you're saying you have to be a skateboarder. You know, I'll kickflip like a 2-stair and like it feels good. It just feels good.
It's like a drug. It's like ecstasy kind. I mean, I've never done ecstasy, but I'd imagine it's kind of like that. You just feel so good off like just doing a trick.
Yeah, my body just like feels washed. Like I just feel like chemicals in my brain just like firing off. It just feels good to do anything. And really, you know, I find myself just like happy just skating around the skate park, not even like doing anything. Just like being like, wow, like I'm just happy right now.
Yeah.
Do you know that feeling?
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing to be mad about. Like,
Yeah.
if you're not, especially if you're just cruising around a skate park, like you're not trying any trick or anything. There's nothing to be mad about. You're just having fun, enjoying life.
Yeah. So, just to kind of turn the wheel a little bit, you said your father passed away, and I told you how my grandfather passed away a couple years ago, and it sort of I think about my grandfather every day, and I sort of saw him turn to nothing, and probably the saddest thing I've ever seen. What was the experience like for you?
Well, it was, I don't know, it was pretty quick for my dad. At the time, well, okay, so I was in college at the time, and I would come home every summer just to visit, and I would stay at his apartment like over the weekends and stuff. And first couple years I was doing that, it was like, it was normal. My dad was himself. And then like, I think it was after my junior year. Yeah. I came home and like he seemed pretty normal, but then he like just like casually was like, "Oh, Jeff, I have lung cancer."
Really?
Yeah, like just like not even
no
like
kidding.
like no warning, like I have something to tell you. Like,
wow.
He was just like, "Jeff, I have lung cancer." And I'm like, I thought he was joking. I was like, "What? Why? You stopped smoking like 20 years ago." And like he's like, "No, I'm serious. Like I'm going to chemotherapy and all this stuff."
Wow.
And I'm like, "Holy shit. Like that's crazy." And I knew people who've had cancer in the past, and like some people can last longer than others, like a couple years or so. But then I went back to school. It was my senior year. I finished that, and he was like so sick he couldn't even go to my graduation. And then
he was alive though?
He was alive, yeah, but he couldn't go on a plane or anything.
Right.
And I'm down in Florida. So, and then I came back that summer and he was bad shape. Like he was in the hospital. Like I just saw him like, just looking worse and worse.
Was
I'm like,
he conscious?
Yeah, he was conscious, but like barely. Like he barely recognized me.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, fuck. I didn't think I'd see this day ever. Like I knew it was gonna happen, but like I just like never really pictured it. Like I never really like thought about it. Like it's just when you're a kid, you just think your parents are gonna live forever.
Yeah.
And then it was a big reality check. I'm like, fuck, like everyone in my life is gonna die eventually, but shit. So yeah, it was just a big reality check, and then he passed away, and I don't know, that was like the most I've cried in a long, because like, I don't know, like I really didn't think it would hit me that hard because I saw it coming. I knew he was gonna die. Like I knew that year he was gonna die. It was just like when I got that phone call, it just like everything in my world just like stopped. Like it felt like my heart stopped. I was like, holy fucking shit, I'm never gonna see him ever again. And it was the worst feeling I ever had.
Yeah, I'm really kind of stunned that you're saying that, just because my grandpa went the same way. He actually died at home, and we saw the whole progression. I almost didn't believe it, because like we knew he had cancer. He told us, and they were going to the doctor, and he was going through chemo, and it just didn't, like, he'll get over it. Like, that was almost the feeling, like, he looks fine now. And then, like, I think the last 3 months, it really just progressed, like so fast to where he was so thin, like so thin. Looking at his arms made me cry. He was so thin and looked so feeble. It was just the saddest thing I'd ever seen, because he was such like a manly man. Like he didn't like to be treated like a child who couldn't take care of himself, and it hurt him to be taken care of like that. And I remember the last time I saw him conscious, he was at home, and the doctors came because we had hospice coming to the house and stuff. And I remember I just picked him up because he couldn't stand on his own, and I laid him down. And I was just like, I got you, Grandpa, I got you. And I laid him down, and he closed his eyes, and basically the medicine just kept him unconscious until he died. And it was tough. It, like you said, a reality check. Ever since then, I've just like been so aware like that people are going to go. And I think about it daily. I try so hard not to think about it, but it's just a fact that, the deepest love we have, for people, our mothers, our wives, our girlfriends, our fathers, just lead to tragedy. And it's so sad.
Yeah.
Do you have any, since you've kind of gone through that, do you have any advice or thoughts on how people can sort of make their way through that?
I would definitely tell people to appreciate their loved ones as much as they can, because you never know when they're going to go. But if you've had someone you love recently go, I would just say, for me, it's like I definitely reminisce on the good times that we had, but at the same time, I try not to harp on it too much. Like the more you think about it, the more depressed you're going to be. So like, just try to leave it as it is and, accept it. There's nothing you can do. You can't change it. So I don't know. I don't know if that's good advice or not, but I just try not to think about it as much as I can. Or you can have it motivate yourself. Like, I don't know. My dad supported my skating more than anyone.
Really?
Yeah, 100%.
The most supportive person, would you say?
Yeah, 100%. So yeah, and I know he always wanted me to go pro or whatever. So that's kind of my motivation too, in a sense. So yeah, whoever it may be, whatever they were towards you, you could use it to motivate yourself. That may make the pain less, knowing that you could work towards something that they would be proud to see you doing, and know that they wouldn't want to see you depressed or sad or anything. So just not thinking about the subject as much would make just a whole better situation.
When you think of your father, do you picture him when he was well, or do you imagine him when he was, at his worst?
I think of him when he was healthy. I wasn't even around him that much when he was sick, so I don't, to be honest, I don't even remember what he really looked like too much, which is a good thing. I have a good healthy image of him when I think of him.
Yeah. Well, that took a turn there. I did want to bring that up because, death is such an important part of our life, and we all will go through it. And I was always very curious. I wondered, that death, did it take a big toll on you? Or are you different because of that? Like the way you live your life, or are you kind of just the same guy?
No, I'm the same guy. I mean, obviously it got me sad for a while, but my lifestyle didn't change. I'm not a different person at all. I don't pity anything or anything like that. If any, I don't go around telling people, "Oh, my dad died." If people ask, if people ask about my parents, I'll tell them, "Yeah, my dad passed away," but I don't make a big deal out of it. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." I'm like, "It's okay. It was years ago, whatever." It didn't change me really.
Are there so not about your father, but in terms of yourself, are there things about yourself that you don't like?
Of course, no one's perfect.
What are some of those things?
The temper, like you said, if I didn't have that temper, I probably would have changed a lot of those opinions that you read to me. I'm a little stubborn. I kind of just like setting out to do what I want to do. I don't really care what other people want me to do.
Can people change your mind, or are you are you stuck in your ways?
People can change my mind, but it's very hard. They have to give me a lot of valid reasons to why my opinion should change about something. What else? I know.
Or what's good about you?
What's
How about
good
that?
about me?
What are things that you're happy to say about yourself?
I'm determined. I'm a real person. You can see it through my skating. Like, a lot of people fake their style and stuff to look better.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't really care about that. How I do a trick is how it is. Like, that's kind of my personality. What I tell you is how it is. I don't care if you don't like it or not. Like, it's the honest truth. But yeah, being determined, being a genuine person, being realistic. A lot of people out there who like don't have a good grasp on reality. I know where I am in life and what I have to do to excel. And yeah, I don't know.
So what motivates you? What when you wake up in the morning, what makes you want to do stuff? Is it purely skateboarding that motivates you?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it. I just have always been the type of person that like to see gradual progress in whatever I do in life. And there's no way you're going to progress if you don't go out there and go do something. My girlfriend, knowing that this is going to sound depressing, but despite all the fans, the followers, whatever I have, for a long time there, I just really didn't think like anyone gave a shit about what I did. Like
about what you did, or about
like,
you,
about me, like what I do, skateboarding. I really like for a long time. I'm like, no one even
really
gives a shit,
despite the following and the numbers. And
dude, to be honest with you, I think people follow me to like laugh at my clips. Like, not everyone, but like I feel like a good portion of people don't follow me for the right reasons, and that kind of, I don't know, not anymore, but like that got to my head eventually. Like, I'm like, people don't even like give a shit about what I do. Like, if they really did, I'd be in a higher spot right now. But I got a loving girlfriend. She obviously cares about me a lot. So I know someone out there cares, and that's all it takes is one person. So that, and want my mom to be happy, you know. I left the East Coast to be out here. I want her to see that I'm here for a reason. I'm not just wasting time. So basically it, just my own satisfaction, and the fact that I have loving parents and a loving girlfriend is enough motivation for me. What's the next move? The next move, just
what are your future plans?
Just what I've been doing this whole time. Ever since I moved to California, I've just been trying to progress as a person, as a skateboarder. Just trying to push myself every chance I get, push all the limits, whatever. Like specifically, I'd like to get a board sponsor that I'm stoked on, not a B-list one.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie if I'm not saying I haven't been working towards that for a while, but
yeah,
that's hopefully the next step. I mean, I got other companies that are giving me love, so I know it's possible to get love from a board company that I'm stoked on, because I'm stoked on all the other companies I ride for. So I just, it was like, I compare skating to my love life a lot, which kind of sounds funny, but it's actually very similar. To anyone who has a girlfriend and that skateboards, they can relate to this. It's like, for the longest time, I just like would strike out, like no girls would be like down, like just didn't want to hang out, like weren't interested in me, whatever. And then that lowered my confidence so much. I'm like, am I like fucking ugly? Am I like, am I boring? Like, what's wrong with me? And I can't even answer the question to you right now why girls like didn't want to do anything with me, but it just took that one right girl to find. And I didn't even. It was a huge life lesson because the way I found my girlfriend is I didn't even try. It just
You were just
randomly
yourself.
just happened one day. Like wasn't even thinking about girls. Just one day, just like magically happened. Which it's the same thing with skating. Like it's good to try. It's good to try to get your name out there, and but sometimes it just doesn't work that way. Like the harder you try, sometimes maybe it's the worse. Like that's the way I feel. Like with finding a right board sponsor, like might just come along one day, and if it doesn't, oh well, I gave it my all, and at least I can say that. So yeah, that's the next thing.
All right, so I got one more question before I ask that. I just want to say, Jeff, thanks for coming out. You're such a genuine guy. I'm happy to make your acquaintance. We might have just wasted all day today, and this might end up in the trash. It won't, but I'm saying if it did, I could look back and say, fuck, that was cool. Like I like meeting Jeff, meeting Ruby, genuine people. We shared a meal together, had a couple drinks together. This computer could literally end up in the trash, and it would not be a waste to me. The time that we spent. I'm happy to know that your personality and you're just generous with your time, just coming and hanging out. I just want to say I respect you. I thank you. And the last question I have is, who the hell are you?
I'm Jeff DeChesare, and I'm just another human being on this planet with goals and ambitions and trying to reach them before I die. That's it.
Thanks, Jeff.
No problemo.